Hey guys, and welcome to today's episode of Give It the Beans. This is episode number 30. Now, for those of you that are watching, you're probably wondering, Vaughn, who is this homeless man that you've got on your podcast? It is not a homeless man. It is the one and only Ally Burdge, our new coach to the team. Ally, how are we doing, buddy?
Good, mate. Good. How are you feeling?
I'm doing well. I'm doing all right. 2 days out. Just excited, but I think that today, less about me, more about you. So I think that for people that don't know much about Ali, he's maybe been on his Instagram page. But for those of you that are still wondering, well, number one, they're probably wondering why you've got a haircut like a hobo. But two, they want to know a bit about you. So can you give people a brief introduction to who Ali Burdge is, talk about your career from all those sort of kettlebell days, give listeners a bit of an insight?
So I am an online physique coach and a one-to-one personal trainer. I've been working in the industry for roughly the same time as you, maybe a little bit longer. As Vaughn says, back in the kettlebell days when we had no knowledge, but got people to do things that were a little bit out the box, I would say. So I've been working in the industry for over 5 years, but the last couple of years, obviously my progression with business has been a lot better, results have been better, and now I work with, like yourself, same brand, we work with more people who are higher level, people who want to compete, photo shoot, or just get themselves into an elite shape. My career has just kind of staggered through the industry, and then as I began to take it more seriously, it's then snowballed from there. I also compete in men's physique, and I am type 1 diabetic.
Awesome. And like for those of you that don't know, Ali got me a job at Pure Gym. I still remember putting my suit on, and he opened the door, and I'm wondering, how the fuck is he working here? Because me and Ali went to school together. Now I know that I look a lot younger and I'm a lot better looking than he is, so it may be hard to believe. But he got me that job, and when we first started working in Pure Gym, we both believed in, starvation mode, right? And we walked around the gym and we told people about that. We said, look, this is a thing, and this is why you're not losing calories. And then we ran a boot camp. What year was that?
Oh, it was like that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, so actually, I think it was 2014.
Was that 6 years ago?
And we called it Beach Body Boot Camp. And to be fair, it was really successful at the time for the knowledge that we had.
Very good.
Because we just worked with anyone and everyone, and because of the knowledge we had, that was the results that we got. But I'd say we marketed to them pretty well. But from my end, I would say that I've seen a lot of trainers come and go over the years, specifically in Pure Gym, and there haven't been many that have leveled themselves up as much as Ali has in regards to his own physique, his results with clients, but also his business. So, I mean, how many trainers would you say we've seen come and go from Pure Gym in the past 5 years?
Like, I'd say our industry must be one of the biggest drop-offs out of any, because you see people come and go. You also see people come into the industry and they do okay and they just stay there for countless years. So it's a lot, like 30 plus, maybe, something like that.
And that's the thing, right? So I always said, if I was, I think we were at the Muscle Mentors last year, and someone asked on your story, was like, oh, what do you see yourself guys doing in the future? And I was like, well, whatever we're doing, we'll probably do something as a collab and do it together, because, going from my boot camp days and everything over the years, let's say, for example, I'd have a client on a leg extension, and Ali would like run over with his client's photo and be like, Ron, I've just loaded her. What do you think about this? And I said, oh, well, it's a bit flat there, or this and the next thing. But it was good to have that sort of environment. But I think less of the talking about us and more sort of talking about the idea of today's podcast, which was a little bit of an introduction about who Ally Burdge is, but also type 1 diabetes. And a lot of people out there probably don't know what type 1 diabetes is. They know what type 2 is. So before I ask you to sort of give the listeners an idea of how you manage it, probably best we talk about exactly what it is. So can you give people an idea of what type 2 is, and I can discuss the differences between type 1?
Yeah, so type 2 diabetes tends to be brought on by for the most part, unhealthy habits. So weight gain, things like that. Also, just getting older can sometimes affect it, but it can be controlled via diet, exercise. Also, occasionally you have to use pills and stuff like that, but it's very easy to manage. Whereas, so it's brought on just by poor life choices, I suppose. Whereas type 1 diabetes,
You can say obesity, Ali. It's fine.
well, yeah, obesity is the highest thing. Type 2 diabetes is also one of the highest things in the UK. Like, it's a very high rate of people getting it. So obesity, you have to be over a certain level of body fat to get it. But
there you go.
That's brought on, as I said, by lifestyle. Whereas type 1, as Vaughn will go into the physiological process.
Diabetes itself, right? You need to know that obviously we take on board food, and that food is digested into glucose. Now, within our blood, that glucose needs to be uptaken into muscle cells or fat cells. Now, insulin will do that. It's simply a hormone. Now, like insulin itself is released from the pancreas. Now, Ali being a type 1 diabetic, his pancreas doesn't produce insulin, right? It's nada. So if he was to just not take any, his blood sugars would just go all the way up. Or if he wasn't to eat, they'd just come all the way down and he'd die, right? Whereas someone that has type 2, their pancreas will still produce insulin, but the problem is that their cells become desensitized to it, so they can't uptake it as regular or as efficiently as need be. So hence why when we reduce body fat, it can often see an increase in sensitivity and not often cure type 2, but in Ali's case, which is only, I think, 5% of total diabetics case type 1, you'll always be on insulin for the rest of your life. Is that right?
Yeah, well, unless they come up with some new cure, but there's not been much changes in the last 30 years or so. The thing is with what you said there, the insulin sensitivity, it's quite similar to people on gaining phases. If you've pushed them for quite a long period, occasionally insulin sensitivity, and they're not going to be obese, but they'll be a little bit higher body fat, can start to become less responsive. But in general, type 1 diabetes, it's a far harder thing to live with. And although it's it's got the most amount of money put into it for research, it's quite difficult to find any sort of new things for it because it's such a difficult thing to work with.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good place to start. People are thinking, right, well, okay, you have to control your blood sugars. What does that mean? Because there'll be some people that have no idea what diabetes is. So the ones that are listening that want to make sense of it all, what do you have to do on a daily basis to make sure that your blood sugars don't go up and they don't come too far down?
Okay, so the easiest way to look at it is with yourself. Everyone's had that thing where they start to feel a bit hypo, even if you're not diabetic. But as a diabetic, you need to check your sugars. So I currently wear a constant blood sugar monitor, which I scan with my phone, which is a lot easier. It makes control a lot better.
Yeah.
That'll tell me what my sugars are. Then if I'm going to eat, I will then give myself a bolus. So type 1 diabetic people will either inject or I wear an insulin pump just purely because it's easier. And also I'm not having to inject 10, 12 times a day on a gaining phase. Mm-hmm. With that, it's just done, you then control it. So you'll know if I'm taking in 100 grams carbohydrates, I will take 10 grams of insulin. That's the generic advice. Before I had the constant blood glucose monitor, I just used, like you prick your finger. You've probably seen people do it before. The problem with that is people don't like pricking their finger and they don't like doing it in public. So with diabetes as well, there's a bit of a stigma around it. A lot of diabetic people are a bit embarrassed, I suppose.
And why do you think that is?
I think it's because, like when I was younger, the question you always get asked is, can you eat this? So are you allowed to eat chocolate? Are you allowed to eat sweets? And I think as well, people just associate the word diabetic. So they think type 2 and type 1 are the same thing. So people will say, oh, but you're not overweight and you're diabetic. So I think people just get a bit embarrassed. Also just depends on probably how you grew up with it. Like you'll see the difference in two diabetics: the people who will eat in a restaurant and they'll just inject sitting at the table, or the people who will excuse themselves to go away. But I think it is just a bit of like, in society, no one really wants to be different because it brings about questions. So I think that is the main reason. It's one of the hardest things to coach on as well.
Yeah, and I think obviously you do quite a good job with it. But if we were to speak about sort of managing blood sugars, right? Now, people will be thinking, right, so what if it goes too high and what if it goes too low? So I guess, again, that's a good thing for you to elaborate on, because I've seen when you went too low, and then I've seen the opposite, too high. So if you could start by saying, right, let's say you've injected your insulin or something's happened and blood sugar start running low. Tell someone what it feels like when just before that hypo, or perhaps give us an idea of what it's like having a hypo and what it's like after.
So the reason it's quite difficult is, so the easiest way to describe it would be my sugars from a perspective of the NHS standards run very well. But that means I'm more susceptible to low sugars because I will drop lower rather than someone spiking up. But when you go into a hypo, which people who aren't diabetic can get, but they won't go into a full hypo, they will just feel a bit groggy. The easiest way to describe it is, it's like you've got a plastic bag over your head that you can't see through. So you in your brain, you still know what you're doing, but you're seeing things in a blur. Then obviously you get sweaty. You can also go into a fit, but that would be in a full hypo. The reason it happens to a lot of people is they don't have awareness of it, or for people like ourselves that training very hard can pull you into one very quickly. So it basically feels like the lights are on, but no one's home.
And I can really relate to that. I remember, if for those of you who don't know, I've known Ally, worked with Ally for 5-6 years now. And there was about 3 or 4 occasions when I worked at Pure that you had them. And there was one where I think I was training with Dave, and Susan came running through and she went, Vaughn, come here, and ran down, and you ran into their office, and you couldn't remember who I was. You kept saying, like, who are you? And what you'd go from being really, really aggressive to then next thing you were greeting, and then next thing you were totally fine, and then you were lying on the floor. It was kind of like, what the fuck's going on? Then after it was like you'd been hit by a bus.
Yeah, I suppose the way to look at it would be, you've got your fight or flight, so your body's smart. It either wants to fight or run. But in that sense, your body doesn't know you're having a hypo. It just knows that something's wrong. So that red flag's coming up. So your body either tries to fight whatever's beside you, or it tries to run. And it can be very difficult. With that as well, like, one of the things I will say is, as a type 1 diabetic, even if you are perfectly controlled, there's always going to be this will happen to everyone. And that's what can be hard about it. I think that's why people become a little bit almost shy about it. It's quite a difficult scenario. As Vaughn will tell you, when you have a hypo as well, the next day, it almost feels like you've been boxing for 14 hours because your muscles contract very hard, harder than you could ever contract in a workout. So your recovery is all over the shop.
Now, what if we go the other way? Because how often have we spoke that, you've woke up and, your sugars were up at like 30? And it's right. And so it's quite dangerous going low, but equally, how dangerous is it for them to go too high?
So, in case my consultant is watching this, my sugars never go to 30. But there are odd times. So, like a few weeks ago, my insulin pump fell off when I was sleeping. My insulin pump secretes insulin. So I woke up and I was around 20, which is high. That's dangerous. Now, the difference would be this. A hypo, you can die from. You're having a fit if there was no one there. But you'll just wake up being sore. Whereas if you go the opposite way and you go really high, it's called a TK. I can't even remember the actual technical name, but it's very bad for you because that can cause damage to your brain, eyes. For males, it can cause damage to your lower region, which is always a good way if I'm coaching a young male, because I think it's a good way to make it more serious. But what happens there is when it goes so high, you just feel so sluggish that it's very difficult to do anything. And that's where most people struggle with. In terms of diabetics I've ever worked with, not many will go low, but a lot will go high. And the problem with it is, if you're running at a high rate for a long period of time, that you can go blind. That's the extreme, but people have to get laser on their eyes. If you're 30 and you're getting laser on your eyes as a male or a female, that's not very helpful. So it will start to damage your body. And that's where type 2 diabetics, because they're not as insulin sensitive, their sugars will be a little bit higher.
Yeah.
It's easier to manage because you just take a big bolus of insulin. But when I go above 14, I start to feel pretty crap. And some people's sugars literally sit at 14 all day long. So you can imagine their productivity is nada, which makes it very hard.
100%. Now, that kind of speaks to people's inter-individuality of some people think that feeling shit all day is the norm, whereas you are really, really superb at controlling your insulin usage and also changing it depending upon whether you're bulking or whether you're dieting, right? And for people that are, go back to the start of the podcast, remember that, if we speak about what insulin does, shuttles nutrients into cells, well, as Ally has more muscle mass and a bit more body fat, his insulin usage might change. So can you sort of talk us through, give us an example of how many, say, for example, units you'll use on a bulk versus a diet phase, and why that might be? And if not, I can kind of go into that.
Yeah, so my insulin pump, the ampule that goes into it holds 300 units. So I'm on the bigger ones. Some people will be on 1.5. On a gaining phase, I will probably go through one every 3 to 4 days, just due to the fact that my food's very high. My food's about 5,000 calories just now. And on a lower body day, I'm taking in 800 grams of carbs. So I'll be going through a lot of insulin. Also the fact of my body fat's a bit higher, so I'm not as sensitive to insulin. Where it becomes difficult, and this is where people really struggle, so Vaughn just said there, insulin helps to shuttle nutrients into the cells. Now, if you've got a decent amount of a muscle mass, which I do, when you eat post-workout, I could eat 150, 200 grams of carbs. The amount of insulin I need will be minimal compared with if I was just eating that and sitting on my backside. And that's where people struggle, because they don't understand that energy or carbohydrates are what your body uses to fuel it. So if you're training really hard, you don't need as much insulin, and that's where it gets risky. So you need a lot of insulin on a gaining phase. When I diet, and this is where, again, people struggle, and you've probably worked with this in the last year, people don't know how to tailor it. Yeah. So when I diet down, my last 6 weeks or so of dieting, when I'm nearly there, I basically need no insulin. Like, I'll go through a 300 ml ampule in a week rather than 3 days, maybe even longer, because every bit of food you eat is either going towards training, so contracting your muscle, moving you, or just getting your brain to work. So none of the carbs are really focusing on spiking sugars, because it doesn't have a chance to. And that's what's really hard with dieting diabetics, because they get so scared to pull insulin down because they're used to it. They've done it their whole life. So when you start to then diet them down, they freak out a bit. So you literally, like, I'll use my client Luke for an example. His sugars weren't great at the start, and they're far better now. But when he was dieting, he was like checking in twice a week, 3 times a week, and he was saying, I'm doing 1 shot insulin in the morning and none the rest of the day. Whereas before he was maybe doing 8. And that can be a bit of a freak out, but it just shows you that having more body fat, your body's not as efficient.
Yeah. And I think you maybe had this as well. One of my clients, Amy, this was like happening for a good 2 or 3 week period. She would message me. She kept sending screenshots of her sugars, and she'd be like, "Oh, so I ate here to spike my sugars." But like, I'm like, "Wait, why are you doing that?" She's like, "Oh, I'm just following the NHS guidelines. If it drops below this, I must have X amount of carbs." And I went, "Throw them in the bin. Like, we are trying to take you to extreme body fat levels of low levels of body fat, and you become more sensitive, and you don't. Those guidelines become somewhat not irrelevant, but it needs to be more specific to the individual." And that's where you came in. I had said something to her, and then you sort of backed up it word for word what I said. She lowered our background usage, and sugars have been fine ever since. But I guess if you've been so reliant on that for years, something in your brain kind of goes, "Oh, but I don't want to die, so I'm just going to keep doing it." But I think, and this is why this is a good idea for an episode, having someone like yourself come on who's managed them for years to say, "Listen, on about 3 ampules in 3 days or whatever, and then in a week when I'm dieting, not even that."
Yeah, like I think with that, like hats off to the NHS, like they're very good with diabetes. Shout out to my consultant, Professor McCrimmon, who is actually, like, he speaks in a different language. He's so smart with it. But I've spoke to him about it, and I've spoke to clients about it. The issue with it is, I'm not my client. Look, everyone's body will process stuff different. Your stress levels will spike your insulin. Your sex drive, if you're about to have sex, your blood sugar tends to spike. And all these things, if you're not used to it, it becomes very daunting, because even in the dieting phase, if I was having low days where carbohydrates are lower, my sugars would go up a bit. Now, it's purely because you've not got much energy. So what's your body do? It secretes glycogen. It starts to use fuel to then move you. So your sugars would go up. And I'd be thinking, I've not eaten ages here. But that's the sort of time where it's just about knowing, because you're not going to shoot insulin there, because you'll just plummet. So it is a very like person dependent thing. The other thing about it, which I find fascinating, is everyone's ability to process certain carbohydrates is totally different. So for me, white rice needs a lot more a lot more insulin than if I was to eat the same amount of carbs from Cocoa Pops. And there is probably a reason behind it. I don't know why, but every carb will be different for someone.
I mean, the basmati rice is going to be like a bit lower GI than the Cocoa Pops, isn't it? So it's not going to spike as much. So
well, even to use to lower GI, like oats and basmati rice, I'll need a fair bit more insulin. But it's really interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting, because I don't think we've probably spoken about it before, but not overly as much. So, I mean, how you yourself probably know quite a few people with type 1 diabetes. How often do you see people that want to make a change in their physique, but are just like, they come to you or you discuss it and they're just fucking terrible at blood sugar management?
So, and my honest answer is, I would say 98% of them. My client Jess, who I trained, she's from London. She's dieting them just now. She's good at controlling her sugars, which is great. I think it could be a few things. So my mum was a midwife and a nurse, so she was very on top of my sugars. So that when I grew up, it was just routine. But also, we are both bodybuilders. So I know what I'm eating when, what I'm doing. I know to check my sugars. Whereas if you've not done that before, it's a lot of, like, think about it when we worked with Gen Pop people and you say, right, you're going to track all the food you eat and you're going to go to the gym 3 times a week. And they're like, what? That's a lot. So it's exact same with diabetics. If they've been testing their sugars twice a day and you tell them to do it 10, people are just like, oh my God, this is a lot. Yeah. So especially with, I think, and also it's the burying your head in the sand sort of thing. If I don't know what's happening, it's not happening. That happens a lot. So you might say to someone who controls pretty bad, but have you never addressed this? And they'll go, nah. But when you say to them, if they're a young male and you say, well, if your control's really bad, it can affect your ability to have kids. And they'll go, what, really? But when they hear that from someone, I'm 29, who's probably more relatable to them than a consultant, it's a bit scarier. Yeah. Whereas when you hear it from a consultant, they're just some man in a suit who's really, really smart. So I think it can be, the two things I think definitely affect it are fear. Like, people are genuinely scared that they can never control it.
Right.
And the problem with that is, if you've had 10 years not being able to control it, it feels like you're in a bad place. Whereas you'll know when you work with people, after you've helped them for 6-7 months with all their habits, their control gets far better.
Yeah.
So that one's really hard. I think the NHS a little bit. So it's NHS guidelines are great for the general population, but they're not great for results. So that can be hard for people.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, that's all they've ever known. And then they come to you or a trainer, and then the trainer goes, oh, yeah, we're changing this. And they kind of go, well, the NHS has told me that I need to do this, so I'm going to stick with it. And there can maybe be that fear of not wanting to pull away. But I think because you are so relatable to a lot of young guys, here's a story for you, right? You'll remember this, Ally. When I used to do one-to-one coaching, I was working with a type 1 diabetic, and I was speaking to you about him. And I had him in for a session. Now, I don't know if you were on prep or you're having a bad hair day, maybe you couldn't get the gel sitting right in your hair, but you kind of joined in our conversation, and the guy went, oh, I don't really manage my sugars, and I don't check because, life's for living. And you turned to him and you just went, life's not really worth living when you've not got any legs, mate, and you're blind. And you just walked away and you just left us in the session. And you know what? It was the best thing you did that could have been said to him that day, because it came from yourself. And from there on out, I'm not saying that everybody needs that tough love, but from there on out, his sugars were brilliant. But I just thought it was a good example that...
I think for people, it is that thing of, and we'll get it a lot, so someone inquires to do a photo shoot, but the first thing they say is, hey, I want to do a photo shoot, but, and there's always a but. And I think it's the same with sugars, or could be anything. If you've got very bad asthma, it's almost like, how do I take my, I know it can be done, but I don't think I can do it. And that's why I'd always say to diabetics, if you're getting a coach, you want to prep, you want to do a photo shoot, anything like that, you want to win a show, choose a coach who can break down the mechanisms of it if you are diabetic. Because a lot of coaches are very good, but they won't know much about that. So you need someone who can help you with that. Because stress will really impact your ability to control your blood sugar. And it just becomes a never-ending cycle. Yeah. But the other thing, the thing that's very hard about it, and I think this is like my mates will tell you, my sugars are really, really good, but they still drop from time to time. So if you imagine if your sugars aren't really good, there's a lot of times a week where you are not feeling great. Yeah. So it can be really hard. Your momentum just gets a whack.
Yeah. And I think that before I forget, to give someone an idea of, you mentioned about guys downstairs not working very well. Reason is with diabetes, we get poor peripheral blood circulation, or blood circulation to your peripheries, such as your main man. So if blood flow doesn't get there, those blood vessels will die off, which you can then lead to male impotency. There's a fancy word for you on a Friday morning, right? So any guys listening, take note of that, please, and that should be one of your sort of main things, I would hope, or give you a kick up the ass to start managing your blood sugars. But also, this is the one thing I say as well, is that insulin itself is superb because it shuttles nutrients into our muscle tissue, right? And I've always said to you, I think the reason one of your abilities to add tissue, it is because you train fucking hard and you're consistent, but it's because you manage your sugars so well. Mm. You have this ability to just know exactly where it is, how to sort it. Whereas someone like myself that's not checking my sugars as regular as I probably should, if I want to gain an extra 1%, I'm maybe not digesting it as well. I'm maybe not shuttling it into muscle as efficiently or as quickly as I could. So that was just a little rant, but I also think that if you want to try and take advantage of, it's well evident that bodybuilders will take extraneous insulin to try and get large amounts of food, right? That's very common. within the
exactly
industry.
what.
You know what I mean?
The other thing I think that, so I didn't do this on prep, and I know for next year I should, and it's something obviously we still do now, but like intra workout or pre. So obviously, remember when I was prepping, I was just fasting through workouts.
Yeah.
But I think where diabetics get really scared to taking a lot of carbs as they train, but my sugars do not spike because the carbs going in, one, they're taking a while to digest, but they're just getting utilized. So it's an amazing, and as you say, post-workout with your big bolus of carbohydrates, you want the carbs going in to help you recover, build tissue, so it's going to bring it in. You've almost got to step up because I can take a big bolus of insulin. So people should utilize that more.
Yeah.
But they just don't know about it.
Yeah, and that sort of takes us on to our next point, which we can discuss your prep last year, and we'll get into what you're like on prep, but let's keep it on the sugars base. Now, talk us from your end, what your sugars were like on peak week and in the lead up to and on show day, and then I'll talk you through what it was like from my experience in regards to coaching you.
So the entire prep, we will go into the actual prep after this, but as I was going, I'd say 5 weeks out, my sugars were just so stable. Like, so I tend to have a little bit of a spike in the morning, but on prep, like only a little bit on prep, just so stable. Totally fine. Then we get to a week before the first show, and even if you don't know it, I'll tell you all this, but you will be stressed internally. You don't know you are, but you are. My sugars just were everywhere. No matter what we tried, sit down more, don't do as much, relax. But they're everywhere. Then come show day, and Vaughn will know this as well. If I check in on a morning and my sugars are pretty stable, I'm looking tight. If there's a day that they're a little bit higher, you will look a little bit washed out. But what happens when you look washed out? You stress more. So the week running up to show, and also you've got to remember that myself and Vaughn hadn't experienced that before. So it's a learning process. We've both got notes on it. But it was really interesting. And taking a step back from being a competitor and being a coach, it's really interesting to see what happens. So my sugars were doing this. And how I looked was doing that.
Yeah, it was. And like from my end, by that point, I was seeing Ally with his top off every day, and he was sending me photos, and he would check in. Let's say he was 5 days out, and I'd be like, "We look fucking good here." And then the next day he's 4 weeks out, and he looks not shit, but compared to the day before, shit. And I go, "What the fuck's he done?" But then before I've said that, you've messaged saying my sugars are way high. So then I'm kind of like, right. As a coach, you kind of need to know what to say to calm someone down. And often, if you're a decent coach, your words should and they will calm someone down. They make them feel good. So we were totally fine. And then we did obviously 4 shows. But the one in particular I'm thinking of was the UKBFF one. I think it was the first one. You woke up and I think your sugars were okay. You were pretty tight. But I think they were a little bit high, so we didn't eat. We sort of just left it. And as the day went on, you checked in 3 hours later, you looked great. And I was like, right, what's your sugars like? For like, right, they're stable. All right, cool. Let's put a little bit in, and just so you can get a bit of a pump on. Did that, checked in again 2 hours later, because you were on quite late. Same thing, but you looked better. I went, right, cool, get them in. However, the next time you checked in, I was like, this is perfect. Do not eat at all. And you're like, Vaughn, I'm going to go hypo. I need to eat. I'm like, no, no, don't. But you're kind of like, well, you have to, and it's a case of you've prepped for like 14, 16 weeks. And then because, as you said, the closer you get to the show, naturally adrenaline's up, spikes your sugars. You're freaking out because 1, you know you're going to look a little bit worse, but 2, you're like, I can't go hyper, so you have more insulin, thinking that it's dietary related when it's stress related, and then it's not. But then that was a learning curve for us to be like, right, next time, although we run high, like it's hard to know where the sort of meet in the middle ground is, because we're like, right, if it runs too high, we'll look shit. But we can't put pumping loads of insulin because we'll come too far down and we'll need to put more in and we're going to look softer.
Yeah, it's the thing of what's very difficult about it as well is, so my client Luke competed, and the shows he done, he looked good, but I played it quite safe in terms of his load. And then he done a shoot 2 weeks later and he was 1.5 kilos heavier, but he looked so much better. And that's because, one, you're not as stressed in a shoot, it's quite a chilled thing. But two, I knew by that point how to load him. And that's what can be very difficult with it, because
Took us 4 attempts.
Yeah, with normal people, you load them, you do a trial load and you know what works. But you've not got to take into consideration of their blood glucose, because it'll be stable enough. As soon as you get someone to a show and they're diabetic, they could not eat all day and their sugars could go really high because adrenaline. And the problem with adrenaline is it'll tend to just come back, your sugars will come down because it's almost a false spike. With the UKBFF, what actually I presume happened was they've got a different posing routine that I didn't know. Because I wasn't meant to be competing at it. We just done it because I was there. And also the fact of I got tanned up at 9 a.m. and I wasn't on stage till 8 p.m. So I was just sitting on my ass doing nothing. So those all come in. But as you say, every load from there worked better.
Yeah, it did. And the best look we had was your last PCA show, where we sort of front loaded you could call it. We had a high day. So the show was the Saturday, so I think we had your pretty high day on the moderate carb load Wednesday, high day Thursday, and Friday was just back to baseline. And then the Saturday, that was the best look. It was better than UKUP. And I think that moving forward now, because we've done that, we'll know, and then you just won't be as stressed, because you'll just be like, right, we're going to front load, or failing that, what you can do is just not load and just have consecutive higher days than was baseline the week before, and then just naturally, you don't need to have this excess of 600, 700, 800 grams of carbs on that one day.
Yeah, and also I don't think we pushed fat too high. That could go up next year.
Yeah,
but
I never even thought of that.
I will say as well, I'm sure I can ping up a photo of me on stage at the PCA. It was the best I looked. The feedback was that I'm just not a men's physique guy. So
yeah,
which will happen when you're 15 kilos heavier in the winter.
Yeah, but the thing is, and that's it, right? Next year or whenever we do it again, we're just not going to. You're not going to do men's physique. You know, I reckon that you could do. You maybe class 3. But
yeah,
that'd be warm ups. There's no reason to say why you couldn't do classic physique. You'd be in the short dudes category. If I'm class D, you're class A.
Yeah, exactly.
But in saying that as well, I think that the one thing about yourself is your head goes the further that you prep. And, from my end, Ally's very OCD with details, what makes him a great coach. But he would message me and he would say, mate, I'm fucking raging. I'm spilled over. I looked so much better last week. And I'd message him saying, no, Ally, you look exactly the same as last week, if not better. And he'd go off massive essays, message back and forth. And I would just send a screenshot comparison of last week and this week. And I'd say, shut up. And he'd be like, oh yeah, let me see what you mean now. Or was it the week after, you're like, mate, I'm so flat. Oh my God, blah, blah. And I went, mate, you're full. Here's Thursday, here's today. And you go, oh yeah, I see what you mean. But that in itself and your mind can, I'm sure, play about with your sugars, right?
Yeah. So if you're over assessing everything, your sugars will, because if you get amped up, you get stressed, they just go up. But I think what the reason that happens is, so from, as you say, from a coaching perspective, I am so detail driven, because that's how you get results. You want to know everything about everything. But next year when I prep, I'm going to literally just not do any of that. Because almost what was happening was I wasn't looking at myself in every detail, but I was just pulling random ones out because it was happening. So as Vaughn says, I get a bit, although that's the best prep I've had. So every year you're going to improve, best look I've had. So next year is only going to be tighter. But yeah, as you say, when you get stressed, it just goes absolutely all over the place.
It might be worthwhile us saying as well, one thing we failed to realise until show number 2 or 3, that the tan is usually got a sugar coat based. So, like you did, to anyone listening, just if they're doing the pinprick on the finger, a bit of plaster. That's what you done, right?
Yeah.
It made fuck all difference, so did it? Your sugar still.
It made difference. I think one of the girls told me it's sugar based, and the other girl told me it wasn't. But yeah, you've just got to get to the point where you're more relaxed, which obviously saying that to someone's not the easiest thing. But that just comes with time. Also, the more I do it, the more we've got data for new diabetic clients we work with, which is great.
It's worthwhile as well telling people that we couldn't use Clen or T3.
Yeah, so I'm on anabolics. They work fine, but when we add in things like Clen, what happens is as soon as you add that in, your sugars, well, personally, I'm sure other diabetics can use it. My sugars just drop so much that we have to add in more food, and it kind of, any benefit you're getting is outweighed.
Yeah.
With T3s, and we didn't really look into this too much because we literally trialed them for a few days, but my sugars just went through the roof. So I was fasting just to see what would happen. I would fast for like a whole day, and my sugars were just right up, and it was the T3s doing it. So as soon as we pulled them out, sugars flatlined again. So there will be a reason for it, but obviously we've not looked into it too much. But it was really interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, like the Cleanse is an obvious one. It's a massive increase in sympathetic drive, a massive increase in rest and heart rate. The T3, we'll find out, and next podcast we do, we'll probably chat about it. But you could equally have someone out there who's a male bodybuilder that uses both those that's diabetic, and it's fine. Again, as you said, it's inter-individuality, person-dependent. Now,
exactly.
If there's someone out there that perhaps does have diabetes and they want to change their physique, but they're not unsure of what to do, what would your advice be? Where should they start? Maybe when it comes to managing their sugars around training or something.
Yeah, so I'd say just in general. So I'll break it into a gem pot and just normal people who want to feel better about themselves that are diabetic, and then people who want to compete. So it's simple. It's the same as everything. If you want to get good at something, you have to do it over and over again. So the data is important. So now I've got this monitor. When I scan my sugars, it's great because it's got a spreadsheet, so I know where I am. And any clients that use it, Luke's just went on it, his control's far better. So I'd say to people, be over the top with it for your first 8 months, and then you can sort of slow it down. So check your glucose way more than you are. Check your glucose pre and post, so you know what the carbohydrates are doing as you train. Are you spiking? Are you dropping? Anything like that. Don't be scared of insulin, because a lot of people are really scared of it because obviously it can make you hypo, but if you know how to control it, you're fine. Also, keep data. So I've got a sheet that somewhere on my laptop that I know from last prep what carbs worked better than other carbs with my blood glucose. Yeah. Most people can't tell you that because they don't know, they don't check. Also remember, when you eat more crap, your sugars are going to be all over the place because of the high fat content and just how the carbohydrates are releasing. So, because they might be slow and fast depending on what you're eating. So It's just about collect data.
And I guess what we should do is probably open the floor and say, anyone listening that has type 1 diabetes, if you are into training, you want to change your physique, and everything Ali said has resonated with you, reach out to him and he'll jump on a sort of free 20-minute consultation Zoom call for you. And as long as you have data, are you happy to help those people out there?
Yeah. Even without data, I can advise on how to do it. There's two really big ones that I want to say, and this is, my diabetic nurse always says this, and it's so true. If you've done enough insulin for the carbohydrates you've ate and your sugars go up, don't do more, because carbohydrates tend to work a bit faster than your insulin. So don't worry if it spikes a little bit. your type 1 diabetic, that will happen. You see people a lot take more and then they just crash. That would be a big one. The other one is when you're training, don't worry if sugars go up a little bit, because there's this wonderful thing that helps muscles contract. Glycogen.
Yeah.
Glycogen, in theory, is just sugar or fast-acting carbs. So that going into your system will bring it up slightly. That's not because your control's bad. Don't worry, it'll come back down.
Good. Now, I think you kind of have answered everything that anyone has questions within their head. Something off topic I ask this to everyone, and even though it's you, and I'll probably know this, bodybuilding aside, anything, your biggest lesson that you have learned in life to date, and what advice would you give someone from that?
So I think, as I said, we've both been working in the industry for, let's say, 6 years, 7 years. I'd say bodybuilding, body composition, life, relationships, business. Probably the best lesson I've learned is you have to do the work. No one else can do it for you, because you've never been like this, but I probably have when I've been PTing in the past, and I'm like, why am I not busy? And it's because I'm sitting in the staff room saying, why am I not busy? Whereas now we both know that even the best people on earth still work harder. Yeah. And it's the same with prep. It's the same with, at the end of the day, when you get lean and you're like, fuck's sake, I don't look as good as I want to. It's only you that you've got to blame. So I think that applies to business and everything in between.
Yeah. I mean, every time I diet, maybe not this time around, but every time for the past 4 years, I've always went, I thought it was bigger than this. And that's even with putting in as much work as we do, but you get content with just knowing, well, we're better. And that's the same thing with business and with knowledge that, okay, 5 years ago, we used to think that a kettlebell was the thing that you needed to drop body fat, and that starvation mode was the thing. Now, we don't think that. We're not by any means experts at the other end of the scale, but we've improved and we're better. And those sort of results that we get, our clientele, the changes that happen within their life, I think ultimately reflect that. So I think you've hit the nail on the head, my man. Now, on you go.
I was just going to say two things, right? First of all, because loads of my mates ask why do I work with Vaughn? Because they're like, he's got dodgy catchphrases and stuff. But what people have to realise is, so when I was in Australia, I took a year out PTing or coaching. I was in Australia, and I was basically in my head trying to think of everything I could do that wouldn't be coaching. So working in office, I don't know, I was maybe going to take up fishing or something. But Vaughn was on prep, and literally every day he would say to me, mate, you need to come back because I need more atmosphere in the gym. I need someone who's going to push me. And I kept thinking, do you know what? It's not for me. And then I came back and I was like, look, Vaughn's doing all right. And what you've got to remember is you need someone, both of us, and it works, you need someone to be chasing, or someone that you need that atmosphere. If you're a coach and you're sitting there and you're just worried about not being busy, find someone busier and go nip their head. Find out why they're busier.
Yeah, I did that. Like, I've hired coaches to nip their head, like James Sutton, if he's listening to this, on a 30-minute weekly call for 25 minutes. It was about anatomy, biomechanics, and business. And then it was 5 minutes of, hey mate, how's your food been? Yeah, it's fine. What do you want me to do with it? Oh, put it up. Cool, sweet, see you next week. And I get like, and this is one of the reasons I'm always honest. It's one of the reasons why I'm fucking happy that I left Pure, because that sort of environment, in any sort of commercial gym, it is full of trainers that want to just earn a wage, right? And that's nothing against anyone that wants to do that. If you want to do that, you're in the wrong fucking industry, right? The industry that we're in is that people are paying us money to help change their life and level up their physique. So if in between clients, you want to go sit and play fucking Candy Crush in between clients and not work on your business and not work on your physique and not work on your clients, don't sit there and complain that you ain't getting busier and life ain't that good. And when a coach like yourself or someone else around that, you are the average of the people that you spend the most time with, it pulls them down. But someone like yourself, you hold your standards to another level that will bring everybody else up around you. But the thing is, as you said, you still need someone to level you up, and I still need someone to level me up. So we're looking to other coaches that are online within our same circle to be like, right. And here's the thing I like is that when you get to this sort of level, there's no bitterness. Like Rob LRF, he'll message me every other day. We'll speak about business. We'll speak about this and the next thing, and like you'll be complimentary and vice versa. Or try this, try that. Or I got this idea from you, and it's great to see companies or coaches support each other. But
I think as well in the industry, what's great when you're getting higher up. Obviously, we are not LRF, but we're trying to catch them. But what's great about it is people will refer on to other people because someone might not have space or not. They might not want to work with that person, but they might say these guys are good for it. And I think that's, as you say there, it's one of those things. Like I still work in Pure Gym, but for anyone wondering who's not from Dundee, by the way, it is the only gym in Dundee. What you do see is people are comfortable with it, but you don't fucking get anywhere being comfortable. It's boring. Yeah. I like targets. I don't want to be, even if I'm sitting there feeling comfortable and I'm doing okay, that's boring. I want to see how many people I can prep for a show. I want to see where my business can go. So you always need to have something, the end game. Like, where do you want to be in 20 years? Not where do you want to be next month?
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? People have been asking about the business and this and the next thing, where it's going, what we're doing. And I just say to people, listen, I've got a 5-year plan. I'm working backwards from it. It's as simple as that. And when you do that, the process becomes easier. But you'll know just as much as I do. When we first started at Pure Gym, we weren't bothered about what we're doing in 5 years. We just wanted to like still have a kebab and a bevy at the weekend. But just our priorities are a bit different right now. You know, it's like, especially when you got to pay for a mortgage, an UBM, and a wedding.
Yeah. I've got to pay for none of those things, but...
Not yet. Not yet. Maybe Robin's listening. She's probably going to give you some hassle after.
Robin's not listening, but shout out to Robin.
Right, I'm well aware of time. Tell everyone where they can contact you, my man.
So you can follow me on my Instagram. So that is Ally Burdge _ VW Physique. You can also follow my Facebook page, which is just Ally Burdge Coaching. I've not changed it yet for some reason. Also, you can find all our stuff on the website, which is on both of our Instagrams and the YouTube channel. We have got a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple of months in terms of content, execution videos, articles, and everything in between. So watch this space because we've got some fucking cool things happening.
Yeah. I think that is a good place to finish. I think it's a good introduction of, you know, who Ally Burdge is and the fact that he isn't as much of a reprobate as he appears from visuals. So whatever you're doing out there this weekend, hopefully you're not smashed by the coronavirus and you're not having to self-isolate. If you do manage to get to the gym, make sure that for me and Ally, you give it the beans.